Unbelievable. Where do you see that with another composer? Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, I'm currently recording a lot of Mozart's music. Obviously, with the goal of publishing a series of CDs starting end of October, early November. Some of you asked where to find information on that project. Well, we have a website, not always up to date, but we also have a newsletter. There's a link in the description box to sign up for that. And so I will inform you through that newsletter what is happening here at Authentic Sound. Anyways, I've been playing Mozart for my entire life, obviously, but it is a discovery still today. There are so many pieces that, well, I knew, I even have recorded in the past, but I'm rediscovering. For instance, this Prelude and Fugue in C major. I've made a recording on that, it's still available on YouTube. I'm going to play it completely different. I don't even know where to start what I was thinking back then. I was still in my speed journey, so to say. So we're not going to talk about the Prelude. It's a fascinating piece that will be for another video. We will talk about the Fugue, because that Fugue has been, I cannot say haunting me, but it was puzzling to me in a sense, like it's a kind of weird Fugue. When you play it at first, it has intervals and it has a certain, of course, style and flavor that music by Bach doesn't have. It's, by all means, it's like a next generation type of fugue. It's a fairly young piece. He wrote this in 1782, well, maybe not so young for Mozart, but whatever. And this was in the midst of where Mozart was experimenting with polyphony, with fugues, discovering also music by Bach. So polyphony and Baroque style was back into fashion. And Mozart was studying pieces where he modulates a lot, where he also incorporates these fugal elements. In fact, this piece was written for his sister. He wrote to his sister a letter accompanying this piece where he said, like, yeah, here you have some stuff to play. Didn't have a lot of time. Next time it will be better. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And maybe that letter put me on maybe at kind of wrong tracks, thinking like, okay, when I find this fugue a little awkward, it's maybe because Mozart didn't have a lot of time. Now, preparing this for the recording, I proved myself again to be an idiot, because this fugue is maybe one of the most beautiful things that he has ever written, which I say of every piece, I know. So we're gonna dive into this right away. Gonna play some passages and try to explain things or to just share my impressions with you. It will be very difficult here because it's a very dense fugue. Let's just play a few lines and then we start babbling again. So, just to start, the tempo I've chosen is from the metronome I've chosen is from an Italian pianist. It was a student of Hans van Bülow. Hans van Bülow, student of Liszt, Liszt student of Czerny, and so on. So, and he left a few metronome marks for Mozart's music, and I decided to honor those and to take those. So, but if you see the fugue here, he metronomized 126. Which is about the tempo I was playing right now. Let's check really quickly. And then we move on. 126. This is the tempo he sets for the 8th note. So obviously we apply the whole beat principle. So we have dun, 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 dun. These are your 16th notes then. Dun, 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 dun. It's a very solemn tempo, motionless, like many generations before this Italian guy. He wrote quarter note 56, which is in the same line. For quarter note 56 is maybe, it's a little slower, but it's in the same context. It's the same like ballpark, so to say. We have common time, 16th notes as the main note value, which is, we are in common time domain and tempo ordinario domain. So again, like tempo ordinario, quarter note 60, but we are obviously much slower here. It's andante maestoso, and in that time, Mozart's also right, they have to play this fugue to his sister very slow, because if you don't play it slow and you bring out every voice clearly, every theme entrance, then fugues are boring. That's what he said. So andante maestoso fits in this narrative or this context of that time where fugues were connected to church music, and church music was like very solemn and like slow in a way. But this is a very nice tempo for this piece because it brings out the cantabile effect so well. That's what I missed in my early recording. Now, what Mozart is doing here, he takes a theme, nothing special, with many fugue themes are just very simple. But the beauty actually is in the counter motive. So the second theme comes now, but then of course the left hand or the lower voice, these three voices here, of course continues, and you have this beautiful but a little bit awkward, if you're not used to this style, dissonance. Even here, G against F sharp. In this context, on the strong beat, you will not find that in Bach's music. Unprepared, eh? Also this counter theme, it has all fancy names in polyphony and fugue writing, forget about that. I wouldn't even know how to name all these terms in English, but it doesn't matter. This is just a second theme of a counter theme. It's a motive that Mozart will use every time, or a fugue composer uses every time when the theme returns, to just create this like little bubble of musical emotion or flavor, however you want to call it. And it is it's weird. Listen, like as a melody. In Dutch we say that's a tritonus. Augmented fourth quarter interval, which is actually ugly. So Mozart is challenging himself with that, and on top of that, this high note where you have this kind of weird notion of this interval, you have the dissonance. That's a second. He's going to use that also in the reversed way, like in a kind of known figure. It's once you're used to that, it's actually very beautiful. Everywhere, like and again you have to get used to this interval, to this friction, and then you start to enjoy it. And on top of that, it's unbelievably cantabile written. It's like I'm not a singer, and of course the jumps like in the interval sometimes is very keyboard like, but like passages like this, he is really like in old polyphonic style, like intertwining this, interweaving this, that's an English word even, like these voices, not taking into account the dissonances. Of course we know by analyzing the countermotive that is what he wants. He's not avoiding the friction of the second, but then he's using that in this cantabile way without compromising the fluent continuation of the voice, and therefore the tempo is important. If you would play this in the kind of early 18th century tempo ordinario, it's complex. I'm not going to talk about tempo too much. Like quarter note 60, then you are forcing this piece into a kind of framework where this cantabile, very smooth lines are not like, you're not doing justice to that. And overall, it will become a very, very, very difficult piece to play. The entire piece here breathes 8-note pulse. Andante maestoso is also much slower than the tempo ordinario. It's like, it's close to the adagio tempo, so it's almost half of that. But again, that's a very complex domain. We just continue. So I have the introduction of the three voices, and then he, of course, starts to elaborate a little bit. You have introductions of motives, you have the three voices have had their say, the countermotive has been presented, and then you have a kind of bridge period and intermission, also that has a term, for the next theme entrance to prepare that. We are now in kind of A minor, so also here it's like modulating quite a lot. And I'm very relaxed, just this theme. And that will be repeated in the other voices, and then you get an intensification, which is very beautiful, and that will lead to the next theme entrance. Listen. Now starts. So that's an acceleration composed and in the composition. So it's a doubling of the tempo, in fact, or the intensity introduced by the composer in his composition. So let me explain. You have like this slow or this normal 8-note pulse. 1, 2, tom, tom, but suddenly tom, pom, 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 pom. And that is so important for you if you read a score. To not just say it's common time, so we have quarter note pulses. Some people write that in the comment box, like saying like, yeah, we have quarter note, what are you talking about 8-note pulses? This is something that has been described in the history a lot of times, even going like into the early 20th century. I made a video a long time ago about the F sharp major, a nocturne by Chopin, where Raoul Puño, second generation Chopin student, early 20th century wrote about it 2-4. It's obviously a 4-8. So that's how you have to read this. But here Mozart is intensifying this 8-8, so to say, even more by. And if you find your tempo, imagine we wouldn't have a metronome mark. That's why I was such an idiot playing that piece so much faster. I was just ignoring all these signals. Then you come across this passage. You need to give it time. There we have a next theme entrance in the lower voice. And we have immediately the intervals again. What we, hopefully you as well, now see as beautiful intervals. But there's a little bit this friction. See? Just continues, again playing with this interval, but it's kind of appoggiatura if you want. Next theme entrance, upper voice. And now you reverse the counter theme. Listen to how beautifully Mozart is actually treating the voices here. It's unbelievable. He's a master here. He shows and then keep that letter in mind that he sent to his sister. Like, this is actually not. It's not worth much. I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, imagine that the guy would have a lot of time. If I leave out the upper voice, listen. But now with the other voice. Every voice has so beautiful voice, but everything just continues. Again. So after a while, of course I'm interrupting now a lot of times, but if you play the entire fugue in one time, and just like you should, then these intervals become like a certain anchor points. You get so used to them that you start actually to like them. I mean, it's of course something special, but typically when you hear like polyphonic music, of course dissonances are very important, but you should prepare them maybe a little bit. Like in Bach's music, there are very harsh dissonances, but they are prepared in a little bit different way. Mozart is just introducing this kind of appoggiatura, like unprepared. But after a while, it gets part of this, of the feeling, of the atmosphere, of the affect. So not the effect as well, but the affect as well. Both, in fact, of the piece. While this singing cantabile lines, they just continue. Very, very tender, I would say. It becomes harsh at the beginning, but after a while tender. Upper voice theme entrance. Here. Unbelievable, right? I really enjoyed it so much. So you had these lines, like not the entire keyboard, obviously, because we need to be able to play it. 3 voices is always complex because the middle voice is like divided into the right hand, the left hand, whatever. So you have a kind of compact keyboard size, but now Mozart is shrinking that, and he is doing that in a genius way by emphasizing these appoggiatura's harsh intervals, so to say, and bringing them together, like in reverse mode. And here, this passage again shows you that we are in an 8th note structure. Here Mozart does again something really nice. So we had these very like intense 3 voice cantabile passages ongoing. Here he brought everything together like in the middle of the keyboard, and then while the left hand or the lower voice continued to go lower I mean, he started again in the soprano or in the upper voice. It continues the left hand to finish the sentences. But then he completely leaves this part of the keyboard and he goes to the upper part of the keyboard, which creates this island of, it's a little bit of contrast, but it's also an island of rest. We had this like again, very busy lines, and now we recreate like some overview. It's one of these intermissions again. But weird, huh? If you're not used to this style, you would say like, yeah, it's a little bit like a 5th here. But what Mozart is doing here, and I only understood that in the preparation to this recording, and especially during the recording session, because a recording session, guys, just record your own music. And then really publish it somewhere on YouTube. I mean, you really come to the deepest understanding of a piece because you're so focused. And here, I thought previously, like years back, like, yeah, this is maybe not, yeah, Mozart just makes a bridge passage to just prepare a new theme entrance. But no, he's just continuing these cantabile lines. He is embracing this unprepared appoggiatura, and then he's just giving it in 2 voices. Like every voice on its own separately breathes, and it's like they go hand in hand. And there is no other way that this passage could have been written. And so on its own you could say, yeah, the music maybe it's not too interesting here, but it's necessary because we had a page full of this really condensed, compact cantabile lines going through each other, and now we create a little bit of, we can breathe again. So this is necessary to announce what's coming, in fact. Sorry. And now, lower voice. There we go again. Also here, I mean, these are these little things, but I can enjoy so much. Like you had the right hand, actually the upper voice starts with this countermotive, but it ends here, and then the middle voice takes over. But this moment, you should listen to that. It's so refreshing. It's so nice the way he does that. There is something that's hard to describe in words. Like there is like the ultimate collaboration between the voices there. Now, I mean, not prepared, eh? Again here. So you go from knowns, I hope that's a term in English. So from this to this. And then he continues. So again, enjoy that. And then enjoy again the way that the left hand or the middle voice goes hand in hand with the upper voice. You feel that he starts to prepare sound. So this ti-dum, ta-dum, ti-dum, he now takes that and it just goes with that motive the whole line down, while the theme entrance comes again in the lower voice. Left, middle voice joins. Theme entrance, but we just continue. Now we come to something really cool. Theme entrance, upper voice, and middle voice, and then the bass is like in double the size, or even triple, I think. I should actually triple the size, or no, double the size. So you have three theme entrances here, here, and here, in the span of like one bar and a little bit. And then the bass, of course, will go very slowly because it's like doubling the size of the theme. It's like the enlargement factor there. But listen to the effect. Mozart is going to demonstrate how you as a listener, because you will not know that there is a theme entrance that's actually doubling the size of the theme, like in note values. But he's going to make you hear the bass in a very special way. Again, masterfully done. Middle voice, very, very solemn. Now comes the bass. You're focusing on the other voices, but now. So the theme has this like very fifth-like, and in the bass, harmonically, this works very dynamic, and especially when you have these long notes, like in these fifth proportions, fifth intervals, then the attention is drawn to the bass, and once you are listening to the bass, you will realize that it's actually the theme. So Mozart is doing the work for us as a listener. difficult to play because your hand goes to an octave, but you have to go wider. Now the left hand, the lower voice, participates again in the 16th notes, and suddenly you will arrive in, like, it's not a roller coaster, it's not that fast, but something that is faster. You had this long bass, and now again Mozart is introducing this new element, not new element, but the bass is participating with the other voices again. And because of that, you have the feeling as a listener that was before, like this very relaxed, long lines, now again becomes more intense. And of course, we are going to enter a new part of the fugue. Theme entrance. Again, limiting the music to this part of the keyboard because, of course, we are preparing something in the bass, but not yet. So we will create again. Unbelievable. Where do you see that with another composer? Maybe there is. I just don't know. It was a genuine question. False theme entrance. I mean by that, you have the impression that it is giving a theme entrance in the bass, but it's actually not. This is again still a bridge passage, and it will be like a while before we have another theme entrance. But of course then he starts, yeah, you could say maybe the finale of the fugue. It's like harmonically. So that's really not easy, but he is giving that in such a natural way, and always cantabile. Again, here you have passages where you inevitably will have to go into an 8-note pulse. Here is octave. And this is of course one of these moments in the fugue where you have a kind of first climax, and then the listener knows, like, okay, now we are entering a new phase of the fugue, which we are. The bass here in 16 in octaves, and again, talking about tempo. Of course you can play that much faster, but then it becomes an etude in the left hand. And then you have a theme entrance in the left hand, and the lower with an octave, and then he continues normally. Upper voice, and then in the middle voice, again. Theme entrance and then canon. And now. I mean, come on, this you have to enjoy this. There is no other way. But admit that when you hear this for the first time, you might say like, this is a style we do not recognize, especially if you're used to listening to Bach's music. But Mozart gives such a new impulse to that. Like, if you listen to the two theme entrances, so you have the upper voice, and then the next bar comes the middle voice, so it's a canon entrance. But then the left hand takes the lead, and it does that in a way that if you listen to the melody first, this is of course very normal. But again, he's going to implement these intervals. And at first you could say like, okay, if you set that against what's happening in the two upper voices, it might be a little bit more like, how do you say it, intrusive? But the left hand is just continuing, and at the end of the passage where he makes this modulation, like he goes to, again to C major in a way. So, you as a listener will feel the closure of this passage, and then you understand that it had to be like that. Let me just play it one more time, better to demonstrate to you than to explain, but I need to prepare you for this, because took me some time to understand this really, probably as Mozart intended it to have, and to open myself for this piece. So again, left hand, right hand, and the right hand has the two theme entrances. First in the upper voice. I enjoy that very much. And then comes, of course, the finale. That's a theme entrance in the syncopation, and then theme entrance here as well, middle voice. So two themes. The lower voices continue in this motif, then of course the right hand comes. There it is. Again. Intervals. Listen to the left hand, this G, how well it is timed. Now, it supports the movement so much. Yes, you hear that correctly. So Mozart is just exploiting almost this motive, this kind of weird unprepared appoggiatura to the maximum. Here, listen to the middle voice. It's chromatic lines. Of course, we have a theme in the bass. Upper voice. Theme. And the lower voice takes the lead again. It continues now, and middle voice joins. Upper voice theme. This is like a virtuoso composer. I mean, unbelievable. This is just unbelievable. How do you do that? Here. The theme, of course, of the left hand is driving the music. But now it takes the lead again, while the right hand upper voice has a theme entrance. And now he continues, listen. That motive in the left hand goes on and on. Shouldn't talk when I play. And it just continues. The theme entrance we don't mind. Don't bother. We just continue. not a point of relaxation now. There we go again. Building intensity. Now we arrive at the dominant, so the G. And that's typically for a fugue, and it's a beautiful moment where we have like a kind of preparation for the final climax. And what's Mozart doing? Of course, we will have these intervals. And now final theme entrance. Here we go. And octaves. Ending of the piece. Again, the theme entrance and the motive now in 16th and octaves at the left hand. And then it ends in a very simple way. Adagio. And it's very simple, and also there I thought at first, like, yeah, years ago, Mozart himself wrote that he didn't have a lot of time, so he didn't have time, like the fugue ends here, whatever. I mean, couldn't he elaborate a little bit more? But it's so perfect, now I understand. You had this, I mean, imagine you play this like completely from the beginning till the end, without interrupting, like this weird guy babbling all the time. There comes a moment where you end here like, there was quite a journey. And then while I have this very sober, simple chords, you're actually recovering from what happened. And it's oftentimes when today music is played, and I'm not saying something, there's nothing wrong, right, whatever, but it's just the trend today, and it's getting worse by the day, like playing faster and faster and faster. The music is performed in a way that is impulse driven, and audiences have been getting to like that and used to that. And of course, when you go slower, you miss that at first, these impulses, like at the beginning, from the beginning, Fifth Symphony, da-da-da-tam, da-da-da-tam. Of course, when you play it in whole beat, tom-pom-pom-pom, you say, what's happening? I don't feel anything. Where's the presto? There's no pulse, there's no drive, there's no whatever. But what you miss as a listener because of that is what happens when you are patient and you just wait, lean back. I sometimes think, shut up, don't think, let the performance do the work and let the composition do the work. And then after a while, and certainly at the end of the piece, like in this case, but you get the reward. There has been a story on that timeline that the composer presents, and you will have impulses, you will have rhythmical excitement, but of course coming from the highway driving a Ferrari, all of us, it's difficult when you then are on a horse and you miss this intensity, this excitement of speed. You have to adjust yourself, you have to give yourself a little bit of time. And honestly, that was also written like, just the same thing as I'm saying now to you was written about in the 18th and 17th and 19th century. I mean, even Quantz in 1752, he wrote like, yeah, musicians play way too fast, and if you do that too often, it's like eating spicy food all the time. There comes a moment where if you then go back to the original taste of the food, many people will say like, I don't taste anything because you're used to these spices. But spices will not guide you through your entire life. It's like playing music so fast that, yeah, people say, again, the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, and it happens. Anyways, I don't want to babble too long about this, but it's important that these last passages, you have to understand it from this perspective. A lot has been going on, and then you need some time to... But guys, this fugue is masterful. Unbelievable piece. And then the Prelude, I will make a video on that as well. The Prelude is a little bit in the same style as the Prelude or the Capriccio in C major, the previous video I made. It's improvisational, whatever, in that style, however you want to call it. But this fugue is just mind-blowing. And again, it shows also, like, when you do not understand a piece of music from the first time, and it's a great name, I mean, it's Mozart, I mean, then give it time. It's a lesson to myself as well. Okay, again, you want to know more about this Mozart project, go in the description box. There is a link to our email list. I'm not a regular email writer, but when I do, you get some information about upcoming projects, and sometimes also share some podcasts and what other things that I have to share. And last but not least, I thank my patrons for supporting everything we're doing. Check it out. There's also a link to our Patreon page in the description box. There's an awesome community, and by going there, you not only find practicing sessions, updates on the project, on the book that we're writing about everything. Every month you get an update together with Stefan, but also you support, obviously, the project that we are doing, and I would very much appreciate you even checking it out. Okay, that was all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching, and we see each other very soon again. Bye.